Hi! Yes, I'm bringing back the old intro. None of you like the new one. I guess we just can't have nice things. Me being a whiny little piss baby aside, this is part 3 in a series I'm doing covering second founding or first generation chapters created off of the original 20 Legions in order. Do you need to have seen the other videos prior to this one to understand this one? No, they're all standalone. But it would make me happy. So the topic of today is going to be more of a theory piece than an actual dissection of a chapter. Because in the universe of 40k, and especially in Space Marine history, there are a lot of chapters that are considered to be a little funky. For example, man, it's really weird. Every single Carcharodon has pale gray, almost blue skin, sharp teeth, black eyes, and loves scaring people while also flaying them. Oh! They're Raven Guard? Fucking right on. Totally. The same goes for chapters like the Minotaurs, which my personal headcanon is they are totally made from the gene repositories of either Iron Warriors or a chimeric gene seed of Iron Warriors and Imperial Fists. But they still serve the High Lords of Terra, so they are still considered loyal. So the discourse I am specifically referring to, if you haven't caught on, is that some factions that are considered loyal Space Marine chapters have displayed behavior, iconography, and strategies similar to that of traitor Space Marine legions pre-heresy. So it gets the imagination running to think that these chapters are special like that, which is a good segue into the subject of today's video, the Sons of the Phoenix. And goddamn, and I got upset at the Hawk Lords when I saw them. Formed in the Ultima founding, which was the weird founding of Space Marines where they created a shitload of Space Marine chapters exclusively made of Primaris Marines, these brand new chapters were created from pure gene stock that Belisarius Cawl had saved and tinkered with to make it more stable. Now they are all still privy to a bunch of different gene seed defects, but it's less likely to manifest. I do think it is interesting that he has 100% confirmed stored traitor gene seed though. It's confirmed I think in either book 1 or 2 of the Dark Imperium series in a conversation that he had with Guilliman. Or rather, I think it was with the Cawl in Fury, which is basically Belisarius Cawl, but also ChatGPT and email mixed into one. In this conversation, he had confirmed that he had the gene seed of every Primarch, including those that turned traitor before they had turned traitor. He was asking Guilliman for permission to use the traitor gene seed to make new Space Marines for the Imperium. Guilliman, obviously forgetting about the Knights Errant, Nathaniel Garrow, Barabbas D'Antioch, and, fucking Loken, he said no. And I can kinda get why. If they fell before, they could fall again type beat. Even if they were indoctrinated, especially in the case of the Emperor's children. I feel Fulgrim would go exclusively out of his way to corrupt any sons that he didn't know he had. Mostly for kicks, also just to stunt on people. So the question here is, did Cawl listen? Ain't no goddamn way that fucking robot spider monster crab listened. He totally created new Space Marines in the Ultima founding and just lied about it. Look at this, the Covenant of Fire. They believe in capturing ancient religious knowledge, absorbing it, and then burning the books, and spreading the word of the Emperor as a god. Oh fucking gee, I wonder if they're truly Salamander successors. Damn, I guess we'll never know. With that in mind, I'm not gonna be so tinfoil hat that I immediately agree with the conspiracies, because the Sons of the Phoenix don't have much lore. There is a decent amount of art, and even a pretty decent webcomic right now being made about them, but to look at them as they are now, there isn't really much to kind of discern about them. Just a few codex entries and random books spread out between 8th edition codexes and current codexes. So I'm going to present 2 theories to you that are the 2 possibilities, and you just discern which one you prefer. This decision is going to be made out 2 ways, like I said. 1, they are indeed Imperial Fist successors, or 2, they are actually Loyalist Emperor's children. Both are actually a lot more credible than you'd think. They could be either or. So, the lore to this point is that they are incredibly brazen. They charge headlong into firestorms they created to fight in melee with the targets of their war. They have a high degree of martial fervor and a devotion to the Emperor as something to be worshipped and led no matter what. They have a purple, white, and gold color scheme and are constantly on crusade. That's a rough summation of what we know. There are a few minor bits of them having skirmishes with the Thousand Sons once upon a time, and a few other minor wars. I say minor, but one of them was on Vigilus, which if you didn't know, that was a thing that happened. But other than that, this is all the lore we know. So if you believe the first theory, you see that they are stoic warriors that are constantly on crusade, much like the Black Templars, who show no fear in the face of fire, which is where their name comes from, the Sons of the Phoenix. They have a high degree of melee in their armies because there is a high degree of melee focus in a lot of Imperial Fist successors, a very gallantry, knight-based aesthetic type deal. If you believe the second theory, they are perfectionist duelists who believe they should know no fear in the face of their own flames in order to seem as flashy as possible. They believe the Emperor is a god because back in the day, the Emperor's children were called the Emperor's children for a reason. They worshipped the ground the Emperor walked on, which is why they got their name and were able to even wear the emblem of the eagle, which was the Emperor's symbol. And their name, obviously, is a reference to the Phoenician, which is Fulgrim, and Phoenician coming from the word Phoenix, and thus Sons of the Phoenix. I think both theories have a lot of validity to them. And generally speaking, you can view them however you want. Their armor scheme is beautiful. And I like that there is a nod to the Black Templar bit I mentioned earlier. They are often in crusade like the Black Templars, which is an Imperial Fist successor. And the candles on the power packs that you see in the models, that you see a lot of conversions doing, is actually from the Black Templars Primaris upgrade kit that you can buy. So it's really up to you what you believe, because no one can prove you wrong. Both have merit. I personally like to believe the latter because it leads to a lot more interesting storytelling in my own mind, which leads me to the Ember Phoenix webcomic. I'm not going to spoil anything and I'm not going to show off too much art, but basically it's a fan comic that greatly expands upon the lore possibilities of the latter idea I mentioned, that they are in fact a successor chapter of the Emperor's Children. It's pretty good, and if you like 40k fan media, I would suggest giving it a read because it's pretty good. And if you like the Sons of the Phoenix and the idea that they could be Emperor's children, then it's definitely for you. Make sure to follow the artist who does it because they update it pretty frequently last I checked. I'm probably going to cover more factions that ride along this theory in the future because personally, I believe a few other chapters are either completely occupied by traitor gene stock, or at least are chimeric in nature, like mixing multiple different gene seeds together. But that is for a future date. The Sons of the Phoenix are a good example as to how you can make a faction better by leaving it in the hands of the audience who views it. The authors don't need to expand on the faction itself to make it interesting, as people will just naturally talk about it. I think if they ever confirm it one way or another, it would kind of ruin the fun for me, because a lot of the fun for me comes in the idea that it could be. So knowing concretely if it is or it isn't, it takes away that little bit of mystery, that mystique that comes to it. But what do you think? I want to know because they are a very peculiar faction. So let me know down below what you think. Are they Imperial Fists? Are they Sons of the Phoenician? Let me know in the comments below. Also, remember to like and subscribe as it helps with the channel. Lastly, I want to thank all of my channel members for keeping me fed on a diet of something that isn't just grass. And if you want to see my content early or even get access to exclusive content, become a member today. And before I go, I just want to say, if I had a nickel for every time a successor chapter from a loyalist chapter had a purple and gold color scheme with a bird aesthetic and also in their name, I would have 2 nickels.
Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?